What's up, guys? This is Return to Tennis. I'm your host, Aaron. Thanks for returning. I've been away a little bit, not a lot of new content. If you've seen my Instagram page, I had a couple picks up. I was on vacation. Got to play some tennis while I was there. Down in the Caribbean, took the Angel Custom with me. Had some fun. But I'm back. We're working on some new content. Had a birthday. Got a couple of new rackets on the way. We're going to hit them a little bit first before we review them, but they're coming. But today I want to talk about these different companies, smaller companies, the ones that I like, and their products, and why does everyone that's out there feel it necessary to compare these smaller companies to the big ones? And I could understand like saying this racket plays kind of like a Wilson blade, because then blade players or guys that like the Wilson blade would perhaps give this racket a shot. I understand that. But just because a racket is not a top tier brand name, and just because a racket is maybe somewhat similar to a top level or a top name company, but it has some differences, doesn't mean it's not a good racket. I really like a lot of the smaller companies, and their quality control is superb. But I started to notice a lot of things when it came to comparisons, and I'm going to start. I'm going to start with some of my rackets, and we're going to hit them today. Kind of like a redux. We're gonna hit these rackets again, but you're gonna catch on. You're gonna catch on. So let me start with one of my favorites, the Solinco Whiteout 305. Of course, strung with my Whitex. I love my Whitex strings. I weighted it up. As you guys know, previous videos, I changed the weight on it, increased it. It's sitting somewhere in the 335 range. All around great racket. Does everything well, in my opinion. Volley, serve, slice, forehand, backhands, top spin. It does everything pretty well. I mean, there's no one category that I look at and I go, it's not very good at that. A lot of people said it kind of hit like a Babolat Pure Strike. Babolat Pure Strike. I don't know, but this racket's solid. Something you should give a shot. But there's more, right? What about another one of my favorites that I've not had a lot of success hitting? And it's because the Diadem Tour Elevate FS is a true player's racket. If you have solid, clean ground strokes, this racket pays off. Man, you can really do a lot with this. I'm actually kind of excited to re-hit it because I've gotten a little bit better on my consistency on hitting the sweet spot. But it is an amazing frame, an amazing product. Quality control spectacular. Kind of similar. I heard it was kind of similar to a Babolat Pure Strike. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Next, this is my go-to 98 right now. This is what I've been doing my match play with for 98 square inches. I've been playing the Technifiber TF40. Now, as you know, I weighted the handle. I dropped the tension down because it was lacking power. I couldn't really plow through the ball. I serve phenomenally well with this racket. My serve percentages are way up when I hit the Technifiber. Better than with the Solinco or my Angel. I can just really dial in serves with this. Ground strokes, not so much. But serves, slice shots, I hit really well with this frame as well. But I'm still trying to dial in the forehands with this one. I have more success hitting the Solinco or the Angel on my forehand side than I do the Technifiber. But my ability to consistently serve with this, strong serves, is what's keeping it as my go-to. A lot of people said it was very similar to an underpowered, better controlled, more comfortable Pure Strike. You see a theme here? Finally, last one. The Pacific X-Force Pro #1. Super nice racket. Incredibly comfortable. Sweet spot is small. It is a precision racket. It doesn't have a lot of power. Okay, you got to kind of generate it on your own, which I'm fine with that. There were some people that said it played very similar to a less powered, better controlled Pure Strike. So my question is, why does everyone treat like the Babolat Pure Strike or the Babolat Pure Drive is another perfect example as like the gold standard for that frame category. When you talk about 98 square inch rackets, everyone kind of says Babolat Pure Strike is like at the top of the list. Or if you talk about 100 square inch rackets, the Babolat Pure Drive's at like the top of the list. But why? Why do these smaller racket companies get compared to this racket, but everyone still feels that the Babolat racket's the better racket? I don't get it. I hit a Pure Drive when I was playtesting 100 square inch rackets. No, sent that sucker back. The Onyx E-Zone is probably the best 100 I've hit off the shelf. The Angel's a little better. So it got me wondering, like, why is everyone got such a hard-on for the Babolat Pure Strike? So I went out and I got a Babolat Pure Strike. Now I know what you're going to say. That's an old model. Yes, it is. I'm not paying full price for a racket that I might not even like. Come on. I got this. I picked it up Played Against Sports. I had it restrung. It's got a Tier 1 Firewire in it. It is a 2016 model. They called it the Darth Maul paint job because of the colors. We're going to hit it alongside the others to see, okay, where are these comparisons? Are these valid comparisons? Or is it just because it's a Babolat that everyone thinks it should be that good? Is it kind of a placebo effect that everyone hears Babolat and they assume that it's the top racket, it's the top tier, that it's the best product? Like I said, it's a 2016 model. And some of you are going to be like, well, if you were hitting a brand new one, it would be different. Probably. Maybe I would feel differently about it. It wouldn't change how I feel about their quality control. It says it right on the frame. Where is it? Right down here. Right down here. Plus minus 7 grams. And then it says plus minus 5 balance. Are you kidding? I've got a Pacific that's dead on spec. I have Angels that are dead on spec. The Diadems, the Solenkos, they are right on spec. The Yonex, I got a Yonex E-Zone Tour 98, 1 gram off. You guys are plus minus 7, plus minus 5 balance. And what's crazy is they put it on the frame. Like, they're not trying to hide the fact that, like, they're off. Like, it's going to be off. But anyway, we're going to hit side by side with the others, see how it feels. Give it a fair shot. And it's kind of equal footing. The Pacific X-Force Pro 1 is a 2016 model as well. It came out the same production year as this. The Technifiber TF40 is not the latest model. It's a couple years old. So the others are fairly new. But we're going to see how it goes. All right, guys, let's get on the courts. All right, guys, here we go. First up is the Solenko, strung at 60 pounds with the Witex Octo Twist Touch. Very good strings, very comfortable. I definitely need to probably back the tension off. It's strung at max right now, which is where I had initially played it when I first got it, and it felt great then. But now I've kind of gotten used to playing lower tension frames, lower tensions on the string bed, and this just seems like I got to put a lot more effort into this than I want to. So, still probably one of my favorite rackets, and still an amazing frame. As I've said before, it does pretty much everything really well. I've been struggling with it on serves lately. Backhands have been good. Forehands are there sometimes. I'm not hitting slice shots as well as I would like with the frame. So, you know, that's why we switched over to the Technifiber TF40 as our go-to for our 98 frame. But it's still a great racket. I really like how it feels. Definitely comfortable. Definitely has good control qualities. But at the same time still has manageable pop. I mean, it's got some good power out of it. And if it's a frame you haven't tried and you're really looking for 98 square inch frames, I would highly recommend it. good day to be out. Not too hot, just a little windy. It was perfect weather today. Did get rain a little bit later, but not while we were out. There was a good slice shot. Some one-handed backhands. I tried to hit a variety of shots with every frame. So top spin forehands, two-handed forehands, two-handed backhands, one-handed backhands, slice shots, everything that I could come up with, I hit. You know, that way I would have a good baseline for when I was comparing it to the Babolat. But now up is the Tecnifibre TF40. I have been serving absolutely amazing with this frame. I've been able to hit serves wherever I wanted them, down the tee to the corner, slice, flat. It's just been phenomenal. But ground strokes have been a little sketchy. Forehands have not been too consistent. Backhands have been decent. I've hit some backhand winners, but slice shots have not been exactly what I would hope for. I would hope for a little bit more of a drive on my slice shots. That one just went sailing. That wasn't a bad one. But, you know, serving has been where it's at with the Tecnifibre. I've just been killing serves. Not just with where my targeting is, just not with how precise I can be with the serve, but I'm getting a lot of really good power and excellent spin. It's strung with the Tier 1 Black Knight, which is a good spin string, soft poly. The frame is definitely comfortable. Not quite as much power as, say, the Solinco. But with the lower string tension I've put on it at 53 pounds and some added weight to the handle, I've been able to really kind of beef it up and really get some pop out of it. And it's a great racket. I can understand why it was so well reviewed. Nice one-handed backhand there. Slice action there. Back to the two-hander. Really trying to mix things up. Getting ready for another change out here. Each frame we hit about somewhere between 25 to 30 balls each frame, just to try to get a baseline for how I felt. Up next is the Diadem Elevate Tour FS. This is the player's frame, guys. This is not, if your ground strokes aren't clean, if you're not consistent on hitting the sweet spot, do not buy this racket. Go try the Nova, the Elevate or the Diadem Nova. Go try that one, but not the Tour FS. That being said, I really like the Tour FS, and something that I've come to the conclusion of is that the better my ground strokes get, the better my swing gets, the more consistent I am with hitting the sweet spot, the more I like this racket, because it really pays off if you hit it well. If you have a clean stroke and clean connection, you can really rip some balls with this. The first ball I hit with this, I just smashed it across. I hit some excellent slice shots with this one as well, driving slice shots. Not floaters, I mean balls that went really ripping across the court off the slice. It was really impressive, very low to the net. Backhands were good. It's strung at about 57 pounds, I think, with the Diadem Solstice string, which is a good string. Very high spin potential. It's a star-shaped poly. But on the flip side, any ball that was not hit cleanly, I could tell right away. It does not possess the same comfort qualities that the Solinco does or that the Tecnifibre has. This racket was the catalyst for me tearing my elbow up, and it was because I mishit too many serves. Starting out, I really mishit way too many serves, and it tore my arm up. And that's not a slight on the racket, that's a slight on me. I mean, if I was hitting clean, this wouldn't have been a problem. So, but today hitting it, it felt really well. I hit it really clean most of the time. It felt amazing. I can't say enough good things about the bracket, and the quality of the product is outstanding. So really give them a shot, give them a demo if you haven't already. But now we're getting ready to move on to our next frame after we hit this serve, and it'll be the Pacific. All right, so now we've moved on. We're hitting the Pacific X-Force Pro #1. A similar kind of feeling as with the Diadem, that I can tell that my overall swing has improved if I'm hitting this racket better. With the Diadem, if I'm hitting it better, I get more comfort, or I don't have as many problems with mishits in my arm. But with the Pacific, the way I can tell that things are better is that I hit the ball cleaner than I have previously with this one, because it has such a small sweet spot. The sweet spot's more like a 92 or a 90 square inch racket, not a 98. So if I'm able to hit this one solid, that means I'm consistently hitting the sweet spot better. And I did with this one. I was really pleased with it. Hit nice slice shots off the forehand and backhand side as well. Now, of course, this racket is more precise. It is less powered. I was really able to kind of control where I wanted the ball to go with this frame. But I did kind of have to crank on it some to really produce any pace. But being able to target locations on the court was a nice feeling. It's strung with the Quadra Twist from Witex. It's strung at 55 pounds. Of course, and like many of these other frames I've been hitting, the quality of the frame is spectacular. Pacific has zero tolerance quality control. It means every racket they produce is exactly on spec. They're one of the few companies that are doing that. Another one would be Angel Customs. Any Angel Custom racket is exactly on spec every time. The Diadem, the Solinco, the Tecnifiber are all fantastic quality as well. Very close, if not exactly on spec. Unlike Pure Strike, which I already know can have a ±7 in weight, grams in weight, can be ±5 in balance. That's really horrendous quality control, let's be honest. It's bad. Wilson is only marginally better. Out of the major rackets, the Yonex company has the best quality control of the major companies, of the big four. I have a Yonex Ezo Tour I've also hit on camera and have been working with, that I'm not including in this group. That's a great racket as well. All right, here's our switch out. We are, for the first time, going to hit the Babolat Pure Strike. This is a 2016 model. The Pacific that we just finished hitting is also a 2016 model. We strung this with the Tier 1 Firewire. It's strung, I believe, at 55 pounds as well, is what we strung it at. I've never hit this racket, so you're going to see how it goes here. I was pleasantly surprised by how well this frame hit and how well I hit it. I could immediately see the similarities in the frames. It hit very much like the others. It did have more power than the Solinco or the Tecnifiber, or the Pacific for that matter. But it did not have as much comfort as those three. The other three had more comfort and better control. But I will say that the control with this frame was actually pretty high. It had excellent control for the amount of power I was getting out of it. It was pretty impressive. Out of everything that I've compared it to, the Diadem Elevate Tour FS is the closest in comparison. The Diadem had excellent control as well, and its power was as big, if not bigger, than the Pure Strike. I would say that the Pure Strike is maybe slightly more comfortable than the Diadem, but it's not nearly as comfortable as the other three. I was really surprised. I didn't think I would like this racket. I really kind of felt like I was going to be put off by it. And that comes from my experience hitting a Pure Drive. I hit a Pure Drive when I first came back. I absolutely hated it. It was too much power, too little control. I felt the same way with the Diadem Nova, because it's very much like the Pure Drive. Too much power, not enough control. But comparatively, the Yonex E-Zone 100, I think, is a great mix of power and control. It's probably the best 100 square inch racket you can buy off the rack. Now, of course, I think my best 100 square inch is my Angel Custom, naturally. But I was really surprised with the response I got out of this frame. It hit nice topspin, it hit nice slice, it had great power, it hit a fair amount of control out of it. It was good. It was, I was, you know, I was surprised. I was mildly shocked at it. I kind of thought I was going to hate it, and no, it's not bad. I don't like it well enough that I'm going to go out and buy a brand new 2022 Pure Strike. I don't like it that well. Not with their crappy quality control. No, I'm not going to do that. But I will say I understand the comparisons now. I understand why a lot of people play it and why a lot of other racket manufacturers are normally consistently compared to it. It being a more popular company, a more widely spread company, and a more widely available frame, it makes sense why everyone gets compared to it. But it was decent. It was really decent. You'll see me here really start to try to really go after some big balls with this. Really trying to jump into some shots, and I hit a few of them like really cleanly into the court. It was a good feeling. There goes one. That was a nice ball. That one I think hit the net. Can't see it on camera. Another nice ball. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Not enough to keep it in the bag. It's going to go into storage. You know, but it's one of those frames that it was a fun hit. It was a decent fit. As far as 98s go, it's pretty good. I actually really hit some nice one-handed backhands with this too. Not that one. Before we put it away, we are going to have a couple. We're going to hit a couple serves with it, just to see how it reacts, how it feels on serve. Strangely enough, the most times that I miss hitting balls and getting pain in the arm is on serves. I have a tendency to catch them high in the frame, but this one, it served much like the Diadem. It felt like the Diadem. It felt a lot like the Elevate Tour FS. It really did. But stick around, guys. We have some final thoughts there at the end. But that's the end of the hitting footage. Okay, guys, so that's the footage of me hitting them all back to back to back. Having now hit a Pure Strike, I can see the comparisons. I mean, it wasn't bad at all. It was actually better than I expected it to be. Hit really well. It was very solid. I'd say that it definitely does have a little more power than some of the other frames. It definitely had more power than the Pacific or the Technifiber. It was comparable to the Solenko or the Diadem. The Diadem has a lot of power. I actually hit the Diadem really well. I hit the Pacific pretty well in addition to that. I like having the Diadem and the Pacific in the bag. They're a good gauge for if my swing has improved, because I really struggled with those two rackets when I first got them. The Diadem is bad on my arm. It doesn't handle mishits well, at least not for me. At some point, I'll probably put a YTech string in that frame to try to smooth that out. But I hit it really well today. I hit the Diadem really well. It felt really good, but I could still tell when there was a miss hit because I really got a big jolt in my arm from it. At least a bigger jolt than I do from the other frames. But the frequency of that was way down. It only happened once or twice, which tells me my swing has actually gotten more consistent. I hit the Pacific a lot cleaner than I ever have, which also tells me that my swing has improved, because the Pacific, the X-Force Pro 1, the sweet spot on that racket is really small. And for me to hit it as well as I did lets me know that my swing is getting more consistent, more steady overall. But I was really impressed with how well the Pure Strike hit. I mean, I would kind of suspected that it would be somewhat similar to the others, but I can see why everyone draws a comparison to it. It is very much like the others. Or maybe I should say the other rackets are very much like it. But a little more power here and there. But it's nice, good control, good power out of it. It's not good enough that I'm going to run out and buy the 2023 Babolat Pure Strike. I'm not going to pay that kind of money for that racket, especially with Babolat's crap quality control. Plus minus 7 grams and plus minus 5 balance. There's no way I'm paying $260 or $270 for a racket that you guys can't even balance correctly or have it on weight, when I can get a brand new Pacific for the same price or less, and it's perfect. Strangely enough, the racket that I hit the best, I actually didn't hit on camera. I used it to warm up. I have a review of it coming. I have actually a couple rackets, 2-3 rackets that I'm looking at now that I will be in possession of soon. I'm going to hit them a little bit first, and then I'm going to take them out and reveal them and review them. I hit it so well that I might even play it tomorrow night at my UTR match. But that's all we got for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the videos and watching me shank some balls. We'll have a UTR update for you probably tomorrow evening. Thanks for returning. May all your returns be for winners. And we now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.